All right, Mr. Levi, how you doing today?
Trying to get my brother. Can you hear me very well?
I can hear you good, man. I can hear you good. It's good to put a face to the name. And,
Yes,
and voice, and voice rather.
yes, sir.
Now, as you probably already know, people definitely have had a lot of comments and things to say about you. So I'll let you first introduce yourself before we get into everything.
Yes, sir. My name is Levi. I have a channel that is dedicated to my cousin R. Kelly called Levi for Kelly on YouTube. I have been following Robert's case since its inception, uh,
Mm,
when he was first charged. And because I consider myself to be somewhat legally astute. Um, I feel that he's always felt, he and I corresponding ever since he's been in this situation, that I would be suitable to explain to the people those intricate details, those very intricate details as it pertains to how he was charged, why he was charged, what we feel was a propaganda conspiracy led campaign against him, and other very dominant factors in alerting the people. When you speak, when you have spoken, and as you continue to speak with Rob, um, as you know, he only has limited time on
yes.
the phone.
Yeah, he always tells me like, "Hey man, I got 15 minutes."
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go. So, like when I
yeah,
spoke with him today, he exhausted the whole 15 minutes, and he
right.
wanted to tell you what's up. He'll be giving you a call. However, and he wanted to personally thank you for allowing he himself to have a voice, and then by allowing me to come on to further expand and expound on those very important details
Mhm.
concerning the absconsion of his BOP records and other things that most people, brother, they just don't know about. Most
Go.
people are unaware of the atrocities and the atrocious injustices and inadequacies that have transpired in his cases. I mean, I personally feel that this is one of the greatest travesties of justice or travesty of justice that America has ever seen when we consider why he was charged and how he was charged. But I'm not
Recently, the state case in Illinois against R. Kelly it was dropped,
right.
and some news outlets talked about it, but I feel like it really did not get the coverage that it should have had. So I guess I can say, how do you feel about the case being dropped, and do you honestly feel that your cousin is innocent or guilty?
Yes, sir. First, let me say that in the mind of the logical person, the logically thinking person, prior to any federal cases being put forth against Robert, we had a state case, right?
Hmm.
However, now that state case, after the federal cases, after they've taken their course, prosecutor Kim Fox comes back around and says, well, there's no need to charge him in the state case or could continue on and bring him to trial in the state case. Now, I find that problematic for several reasons. One being, if this was what set it off, the state case, and we consider it sparked really the federal cases, why not complete the mission? Now, don't get me wrong. Neither my cousin or myself, are willing to look a gift horse in the mouth, if you will. We,
Hmm.
and anyone who is a true supporter of his would applaud the fact and welcome the fact that the state case was dropped. This is why behind me you see the Biden pardon R. Kelly campaign that I've launched. I was waiting to launch this after the state case was dropped. Now, more poignantly, um, you asked me, do I believe in his guilt or innocence? And if, either way, expound on that. Now, I believe in Robert's 1000% legal innocence. Now,
Okay.
when someone says that, who is pro R. Kelly. I being his cousin, they would think maybe I'm being biased. No, I believe in his moral guilt. According to most individuals, moral compass, most people in America would find a 40-something, 30-something, 50-something-year-old man having sexual relations with teenage adults. That is a term that I've coined. Teenage adults. An 18-year-old is a teenage adult. A 19-year-old is a teenage adult. But whether they're 18, 19, 20, most people would find it appalling to think of a 30, 40, 50-year-old man having sexual relations with an 18, 19-year-old. We can
even though it's legal. Yeah.
Even though it's legal, right. Now, I don't want anyone that's watching this to say, well, he's trying to deflect away from the quote unquote children that he was charged with. You hear this a lot, child molester or pedo or children. We'll get to that in a minute. The idea of any grown man having relations with 18 or 19-year-old, someone that's young enough for their daughter, most Americans find that appalling. However, I find it interesting that when you look at the life of most celebrities, you look at an Elvis Presley, when you look at a Hugh Hefner, when you look at even those African-American entertainers who we now see, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but when we see a Puff Daddy, is it Young Miami that he's dating?
Young Miami, and this 28-year-old he just got pregnant.
Okay, so realistically speaking, not hating on Puff, he's old enough to be their fathers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what we have, if you look at who Prince was dating before he passed away, when you look at most celebrities, when you ask yourself, be it movies or singers or the entertainment industry, period, how many entertainers are actually married and dating women their ages? Think about it.
Hardly none.
Denzel, Samuel L. Jackson, and a few more. You see them with their wives. Their wives are roughly their age.
But they've been with their wives for years. I mean, they didn't even if you think about Morgan Freeman, he divorced his wife and then actually got with technically his step granddaughter, who was much, much younger. But
right,
if we're gonna be real, what we see the men typically do is, even when they constantly get remarried, they remarry younger in their 20s, and then they have the rock stars do it. Aerosmith and Mickey, I can't even think of his name, but you get the point.
Mickey Six, yeah.
Thank you. They like in their 70s still having kids. Like it's
there you go. So when you look at Mick Jagger's wives,
Mick Jagger, that's what I meant. Yeah,
exactly. You see all of them are younger. So now that is not to excuse Robert. What I'm saying is that from a moral position, I don't agree with that lifestyle morally, from my moral compass. However, it is wrong to have a juror or jurors or a jury of regular people judging a celebrity. If Robert had the Mick Jaggers, the Steven Tylers, the Nikki Sixx, the Elvises, those who work in entertainment as jurors of his peers, these are his peers, they would have looked at it through a different prism. They would have looked at this, at the time, 45 to 50-some-year-old man having sexual relations with younger, much younger young ladies as being maybe a little bit extremes, 18, 19, but at the same time, it is a lifestyle. You just had, and I'm not throwing P. Diddy up under the bus. We've heard for the last 10 years that Robert R. Kelly is a menace to society because he urinated on a young lady or a child. Then he's convicted, and I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying that he did that. But you, from my understanding, had one of Puff Daddy's girlfriends just come out and say she likes golden shower.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. So,
although people will still bring up the age difference when we make that correlation, but I see what you're saying. It's for years R. Kelly was demonized for the simple act of that, and now it's cool for everybody to say they do that. It's insane.
And I want to be clear. I, someone having daughters myself, I do not agree morally with a lot of my cousins' moral decisions, with a lot of R. Kelly's moral decisions. But what I want people to understand is that he is not being held up in a moral court. He's being held in a legal court. So to wrap up what you asked about the case being dismissed, the federal charges, and to wrap this whole conversation up in this regard, I will say this, that 85% of Americans deem R. Kelly guilty based on a docuseries. Even the case that was just dismissed by prosecutor Kim Fox, she admits during her press conference when the charges were initially set that she watched the docuseries. I'll send you, and perhaps you can put it on the screen, one of the individuals who were responsible for charging R. Kelly, who works for the Justice Department. He tweeted confirming that, yes, we started to investigate R. Kelly for these crimes after we saw Surviving R. Kelly, the docuseries. So when we have a Justice Department who is willing to bring charges against an American citizen based on a documentary or a docuseries, I find that absolutely problematic. I find it to be absolutely un-American. And most importantly, I find it to be absolutely unconstitutional. Let's be clear. R. Kelly is no saint. But at the same time, his guilt, from my vantage point, I'm going to be frank. Can you swear on here?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
His guilt, what he's guilty of, was being a womanizer, loving all women of all ages. What he was guilty of, to be more poignant, is being a man who couldn't keep his dick in his pants. Period. Let's be clear. However, if we in America or the American Justice Department chose to lock men up for being womanizers and not being able to keep their dicks in their pants, a lot of us would be locked up. I would be up under the jail. That lifestyle of being promiscuous, to the average person, to the average man, you kind of, when you're young, you do your thing. As you get older, let me find one woman and settle down, or two, right? Right, never slow down. He loves women. He's the king of R&B. He, being blessed with the gift of song and being able to write, it was, in fact, and is, in fact, a gift and a curse. So here you have a handsome dude, no homo, very well gifted and talented. And he just happens to sing songs that are sexual songs that appeal to women. So he's like a kid in a candy store, if you understand what I'm saying.
It was thrown at him. We gotta be real. It was when you famous as a man, it's thrown at you. And a lot of celebrities, a lot of male celebrities that cut ties with him was right there next to him.
There you go. So what we have are a lot of male celebrities, and we can get into that in a minute, but they're scared to death. See, what you just touched on. What you have are these celebrities who know if they come out and defend R. Kelly, they're going to be blackballed. Mm-hmm. But if you want to sell an album, if you want to promote a play, if you have not been heard from in years, but you're trying to promote something, all you got to do is make a statement that you saw R. Kelly do something, or I was with him in the studio, or it's a damn shame R. Kelly hit on my daughter, or he hit on, you feel me? So now you're in the the headlines because you're saying something bad about R. Kelly. But when you say something like Lil Bootsy said, that the parents were primarily responsible in the case with this one young lady, Jane Doe number 5, then Lil Bootsy gets hate mail. Lil Bootsy gets attacked. We have now Whack 100 coming out speaking up for my cousin. And I'm on here to urge all of these Black celebrities to take a close look at what transpired. Don't just allow a docuseries and the media to say R. Kelly is guilty, and then you believe he's guilty based on what these people said. Now, let me get to this because I don't want to hold you too long, brother. I appreciate your time.
No, you good, you good.
Here's the deal. I'm going to send it to you, and perhaps you can put it in here. The people who constructed the docuseries, Dream Hampton in particular, she did an interview. And in her interview, you will hear her say that out of all of the females, all of the women that she interviewed for Surviving R. Kelly, every single one of them, at the end of that interview, she specifically asked them, do you feel he should go to prison, should be locked up? And, you have it there. I'll be quiet and listen.
Yeah. I think this is about minute 440. Let's see.
That he has in the Black community as a currency. And I hope that this ends soon. I mean, when I interviewed the girls, each and every one of them talked about not wanting to see him in jail, actually, but wanting him to get help. They actually, even though they didn't use the words restorative justice, they have a restorative justice framework for this man. They want him, when they said they want him to get help, I took that to mean that they wanted him to get a combination of professional therapy and spiritual kind of help, probably.
Well, what about this issue, Dream Hampton, of what should happen to him if he is convicted of these crimes? You heard the clip from Michael Avenatti. Is jail what you a long stretch in jail what you think should happen with him?
You know, I'm not a carceral feminist, so my instinct isn't to say, let's send people to the prison industrial complex. And I was just saying that at the end of each interview, where these girls had talked about all their pain and trauma, each of them said they wanted him to get help. None of them said they wanted him to go to jail. But a restorative justice process requires that someone admit the harm that they've done, that they own that harm, that they come to this process. I just did a film inside of an Indiana prison.
There you go. Now that's very interesting. So listen.
That's interesting that every single girl said, I don't want him to go to jail though.
All of them.
That's
every one of them.
I didn't even know that part until I found that clip. I have never seen that interview until I actually went and searched for it. I didn't know that.
So-called victim. She didn't say with the exception of a few.
No, she said everyone. Which is making me, and I'm not taking up for nobody. I'm just asking, right? Were any now I'm wondering the stories that the girls told on Surviving R. Kelly, were they coached? Were things embellished to sell TV? Because kind of like how you can say, well, I had my own room, and well, don't say that. Say that he kept you in your room and you had to ask permission. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was embellished? Because if you do me wrong, I want you in jail. Just say
all of them said no. So you know what that means? And then she interprets what they said, whatever. But here's the deal. That meant all of them were basically saying he needs to keep his dick in his pants. Mm-hmm. He loves women. That's what they were basically saying. Now, however, this is what Dream Hampton and most people don't know. Those people, individuals who were interviewed by Dream Hampton and those at Lifetime, they interviewed them for 5 or 6 hours each. Then, when it was time, as they're creating this documentary, go Google what I'm saying, people. As my cousin sits in prison, fighting for his life, I don't have time to come on here with idle, frivolous speech. Go Google it. What people don't know is that 4 editors, if not 5, black editors, towards the completion of Surviving R. Kelly, Lifetime, Dream Hampton, they had an issue with what was being edited, how it was being edited, how it was the editing, as you know, Brother Storm, that's the final product.
Yeah, and I can make anything look like anything.
There you go. So when you edit something, it's like making a tailor-made suit.
Yes.
For a person, right? You clip,
and I'm gonna do it to suit me.
There you go. So
Yeah.
they wanted to do it to suit this misplaced idea, this lie that he was a monster, right? So what Dream Hampton doesn't want people to know, what Lifetime don't want you to know, go Google it for yourself. These 4 or 5 black editors towards the end had an issue and met with Dream Hampton, the producers and the owners. In that meeting, they expressed to them, we out. We can't do this. Google it. The owners then paid them, made them sign an NDA, meaning they can't speak about it. We're going to give you your money, but you can't speak about this. Now, why would 4 or 5 black editors meet amongst each other and say, you know what, we can't do this shit? They knew their job was to edit. They had 5 or 6 hours of interviews of every person who spoke about R. Kelly. I believe, allegedly.
Okay, hold up. I think I found it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When it was time to edit, they said, wait a minute. Let's see. Go ahead, brother.
And I want to let everybody know I'm reacting to this in real time. Okay. All right. Article therap.com this was written August 12th, 2020, so 3 years ago. Original editors of Lifetime Surviving R. Kelly walked out over creative disagreements. The original editors of Lifetime's now famous 2019 docuseries Surviving R. Kelly walked out over creative disagreements on how best to portray the sexual assault survivors. But how do you have to? Okay, here's my thing. How they're portrayed really shouldn't matter. Their stories is what's important.
If they're truly survivors. See, when someone says how best to portray victims, that means they're questioning as to whether or not they're victims. How do you mean? How to portray them? They're victims. Well, listen, if someone robs a store and shoots a security guard, how are you going to? Well, I don't know how we're going to portray the security guard who was shot. No, right? You got to portray he was shot. So this is how they word it. This is how they word it.
Well, okay. Let me read this to them. The problems first started after the initial cut was handed in. So they finished the docuseries. They handed it in, then got it back with notes asking for several changes and wanted the docuseries to focus more on R. Kelly's rise to stardom and add more imagery of him in between the survivor stories to keep the audience attention instead of just telling the stories. So instead of just going victim 1, victim 2, victim 3, they wanted victim 1. So you see R. Kelly face, victim 2, you see R. Kelly face. Okay. So then the editors didn't want to do this because they believe it was centered too much on R. Kelly and not the actual stories of the survivors. They also believed that Lifetime was using true crime elements. So that's like when you watch Oxygen Channel, MSNBC, stuff like that, to sensationalize the story and that it would be insensitive to survivors and to the Black community. Bunham Morey produced this? Wait a minute. Bunham Morey Productions produced this?
I don't know who he is, do you?
Those are the same people that do every reality show on E.
There you go.
That's Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's fake.
There you go.
I did not. It's scripted. I did not know that. Okay, Monroe said that the changes were a part of industry standard. So that means they went okay. So let's back up because this ain't me. This is the article. I'm gonna put the links for y'all that's watching. What this means is that the actual production company didn't really care about telling a story. They just wanted something that would get ratings.
There you go.
Because these were not Monroe. They do all the reality shows, which is fake anyway.
There you have it, fake. So another thing they're not mentioning.
Wow,
that's interesting, isn't it? So
I never knew, because when you watch the docuseries, they do not list Monroe. They don't put him up there. Monroe, you know, that's Ryan Seacrest's people.
I didn't know that. Conspiracy people.
The same people that did Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Bad Girls Club, Real World. Oh, y'all for real?
Yes, sir. And when you watch the docuseries, first of all, let me address what they just said.
Okay.
They said their explanation was, well, the editors wanted to show more of the victims and less of R. Kelly. But when you look at the finished product, all they showed were the alleged victims. When you look at the finished product, they don't talk about his rise to fame and him. They don't talk about that. They spend 15% talking about that, and 85% with those women sitting there, and I'll say it, telling goddamn lies. Such to the extent that even they themselves, after they gave their interviews, said, well, we don't want to see them locked up. So what they did was clipped and cut. Now, another thing I want people to notice in that docuseries, the music. I want you to notice the music. I want you to notice when in the original Surviving R. Kelly, when they interviewed the so-called victims, they had a halo behind them. There was a halo in the background when they were sitting there talking, feeding the subliminal mind that they're angels. But when they showed my cousin, when they show R. Kelly, they show him with a cigar, with a menacing look, holding his crotch. That speaks to what you just talked about as that particular group creating reality shows and scripted reality shows. But what is most atrocious, people? I want Drake to listen to me, Kanye West, every black entertainer to hear me very clearly. What is most atrocious is that we have now crossed over to a time where a socio-political movement like Me Too, where a company, a media company that makes that makes reality shows, can actually incite and encourage and dictate to the Justice Department that they should file indictments against American citizens, especially celebrities. You heard Sparkle in Surviving R. Kelly. No disrespect to Sparkle. She did an interview with Ricky Smiley, and someone asked her, have you ever slept with R. Kelly? She said, no. I almost crashed my truck. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to get you in no legal trouble. But they sat there and they told so many lies, brother. If Dream Hampton, this is me talking, if the Justice Department, if those who say R. Kelly is guilty, if you really believe he's guilty, I would challenge Lifetime and Dream Hampton and those producers to release to the public the entire interviews from everyone they interviewed.
Oh,
that's my challenge.
I would be interested in watching that too, because I know you got the uncut footage. So release it. I would be interested in that too.
It'll be inconsistencies. It will be so many contradictions. it would be so many statements where the editors, those, listen, y'all, let me cut through the chase. Shit. Storm, we black folk. If I say to you, Storm, hey man, you can make $5,000, roll with me. When do black people normally get out of the car? When they see I can make this money, but Levi just asked me to make this $5,000, but shit, he didn't tell me all this. He's asking me to run up in the spot. You feel me? To do something illegal. So when black people jump ship, they're saying, no, they sat and talked amongst each other allegedly and said, you know what? The way they putting this together, we might all end up locked up in prison, lying on that man.
And they didn't want nothing to do with it.
They didn't want nothing to do with it. So
I think it was pitched to them a certain way, and then when they really got in there, they're like, you want us to do what? Because all you got to do is switch words around, mess up the context, and really anybody can be made to look horrible.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So we have that out the way.
Wow.
The docu-series that's deep what you just played, isn't it?
Yeah, because I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the public is gonna have their opinions, and I get that, and they have a right to their opinion. But at the end of the day, I can certainly tell that there are certain articles and details that have been buried online. Because I had to search for that. You see what I'm saying? You got to search for stuff like that.
And all we're asking is that have your opinion, but at least base it on facts.
Yes.
You feel me? Base your opinion on facts. Now, let's get to another fact. Jane Doe number 5. Bootsy touched on a little Bootsy. Most people, Brother Storm, I'll send it to you. I'm not prepared right now, but what I'm saying to you is absolutely factual. All of you people out there listening to me who think R. Kelly is guilty, I want you to listen to me. During the federal trial in New York, what if I told you that the transcripts show during the trial that the young lady who you saw on Gayle King, the parents that you saw on Lifetime and in other interviews, who gave the people of America the impression that R. Kelly ran off with their daughter, I will be providing Storm. You'll see it on my channel with 100% irrefutable proof in the form of testimony and court documentation and discovery, and a motion that his attorney, Ms. Bonjean, filed, confirming, listen to me, people, turn your devices up, that when R. Kelly met that young lady at 17 years of age, at least one of her parents told her to tell him that she was 18 years of age. Check this out. In addition to that, when the phone number was exchanged, the court records confirm, the Justice Department is well aware of it, is all throughout the documents, that for the first week or so, the mother of Jane Doe number 5 was the one text messaging R. Kelly. She was the one texting him and sex texting him, such to the extent that when she would text, R. Kelly's on the phone thinking he's talking to an 18-year-old teenage adult. But it's the mother who is texting him. So the mother, in turn, says to the daughter, and this is all documented, to her daughter, who was 17, girl, he's trying to fuck. Allegedly, they set up the meeting at the Dolphin Hotel in Florida. They were aware that their daughter was going to the Dolphin Hotel to meet R. Kelly. Somehow, the daughter, according to the transcripts, ends up in a room with him. They were aware of it, at least one of the parents were, with identification. Check it out. They sent her to the hotel. Either hotel security or the police knocks on the door. Set up. When they walk in, they say to the young lady, according to court documents, well, your mother and them called, your parents called, they were looking for you. Oh, I'm fine. Let me see your ID. They looked at her ID and confirmed that she was 18 years of age. Fake ID given to her to trick R. Kelly.
Dang.
After that, she goes home, and the same parent or parents, 6 days, 7 days allegedly later, sends her off with R. Kelly, with him being under the impression that she's 18, but she's really 17. And then, according to court documents, the parents started to ask him for things: food trucks, money. The mother allegedly says, I want to drive your tour bus. We want a job. We want something from this. So when that young lady told Gayle King that my parents was fine with me being with him until the money stopped or until he wouldn't do nothing for him, and then
That was true.
You see how that go?
That was true. And whether people like R. Kelly or not, come on now, come on now, we all there's been other people on YouTube to put that out there as well. Yeah, once the money stopped, everybody had an issue with him, but when he was cashing out on everybody, it was all good.
Absolutely.
Can we just talk about the fact, and I know we got to move on.
Yes, sir.
But can we talk about the fact that these parents hand delivered their kids to him?
Without a doubt. Well, I can speak for sure on Jane Doe number 5. Document. See, I don't like to accuse people falsely. But the other young lady was of age, right? So that is, if you notice, the other young lady that was in the Gayle King interview, she wasn't in the trial. He wasn't charged with her because she was of age. Jane Doe number 5 was charged. He was charged with her because of that threshold of 18 and 17. Even though the government confirmed that the parents tricked him, and sent her off with him with, from my vantage point, allegedly, with fake ID. Now, Storm, you know bouncers, police, and security, when they check ID, they're normally accurate, right? When they read your ID.
Right.
Police officers, when they look at your ID, you can't tell that you're 17, that you're 18 and you're 17. They looked at it and okayed it and said you're 18.
Yeah.
So it was a setup, bro. He was set up, but no one wants to talk about this. No one wants to talk about how parents were complicit in this. No one wants to talk about how in America someone can be set up like that and the Justice Department basically brush over it and charge the person anyway. I don't want to hold.
Let me ask you this: do you think that his case will be overturned?
Without a doubt, and this brings me to his BOP private communications emails list, his visitors list, and all of that. And I'll be brief because I don't want to hold you. Yes, I believe that his case will be overturned because of several improprieties. Both cases will be overturned because of several improprieties, that legal improprieties that took place that rise to the point of prosecutorial misconduct, obstruction of justice, and other inadequacies. However, this BOP absconsion, where you had individuals working for the BOP, stealing his communications, giving it to Tasha K, that's been confirmed, her or she putting that out there on social media. And as a result of that, this is what people don't know. When my cousin spoke with you, when R. Kelly spoke with you, he talked about how the young lady came to visit him. And he was wondering, how would she know all of this? How would she know? She's quoting everything he said in his private communication while locked up. But what people don't know is that allegedly her father was right outside of the MCC. Her father was right outside waiting for her. What people don't know is part of those communications were money that he told his other girlfriend to hide behind the sofa. When she saw the communications, according to Tasha K, and according to everything that I've read and observed, allegedly, the father used those communications and gave them to the daughter and said, not only is he not planning on, this allegedly, not only is he not planning on leaving the other one, he's hiding money from you. Do you know that the father corresponded with her, sent back, told her where the money was? She took the money, jumped in the car with the father, and bounced. That's facts. It was a robbery. It was a heist. It was someone who says, get the bag. We came here for the bag. If you're going to leave this nigga, let me know when you find the money. I'll be outside waiting. He waited, drove to where my cousin Rob was. She went up, cussed him out, told him what was what, and left. All of a sudden, this same person now decides to testify against him as a star witness. All this was due to the theft and the illegal exposure of his personal BOP records, bro. So when you ask me, are the cases going to be overturned? I believe so. I believe that this is a country of laws, not a country of men. I believe that when you prosecute someone in America, that prosecution should not be predicated on a goddamn reality show. And then once you get that person behind bars, you know that person has no criminal record, never committed a crime on record, and you deny that person bond and hold that American citizen without bail, without bond. Then, while he's being held, kidnapped, without bond, without bail, you then allow someone who is charged with the responsibility of making sure that his emails and private communications are private. They steal them, give them to a blogger who is in close contact with one of the alleged victims or someone that they want to testify against him. And then, from what I was told, allegedly, the father had his own person working at the BOP, allegedly. Meaning the father, listen, man, it was everything that was done was so illegal, it's unbelievable. But there is something called legal recourse. So to answer your question, without a doubt, I believe that these cases are going to be overturned. I believe that they won't even retry him. And if they choose to retry him, they'll offer him a plea of time served. I believe that. I believe that.
Let me ask you this. The last time you spoke with Robert, how was he doing?
I spoke with him today. His spirits were high.
Okay.
I told him I was coming on your show. We had a long conversation, a 15-minute conversation, and his spirits are very high because he can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. I could tell just his spirits where he can see the light at the end of the tunnel, because from day one, he's always believed in justice. He's always believed that he would receive a fair shake. But he sat there for 3 years plus, not knowing what was being done to him. He has a very, very, very illustrious, excellent attorney, Ms. Jennifer Bonjean. And she knows the law, all of the things that have been done. Trust me, she's going to take every legal step to make sure that the Justice Department release R. Kelly. And he's going to be released. And once he's released, and he has time to recoup, well, I speak positivity into the universe. Once he and I, we've discussed this, several calls. I always tease him. And I say, man, when you get out, you're going to do a versus battle.
Oh, man.
R. Kelly versus everybody.
Oh, he going to shut down the internet. He going to shut down the internet.
So, yes, he will be home. Trust me. Because the law is the law, brother. You can't break the law to convict the person in America.
And the more and more we dig into things and expose things, it's gonna make other people dig into things and expose things. And listen, one day at a time.
Yes, sir. And I thank you
Yes.
for being so brave, Brother Storm. For being so brave that you would allow him to come on, and you allow me to come on, and you allow this truth to be spoken. Because one thing I know for a fact is the truth and only the truth can set R. Kelly free. One thing I know for a fact is that he is not buried. When he talks about being buried alive in a casket, he is not buried up under laws. He is buried up under lies. So remember, as I continue this Biden pardon R. Kelly campaign, and any other president if Biden loses next go around, I'm going to continue to push that. But while I'm pushing that, I'm going to continue to challenge Lifetime to release the unedited, full interviews of everyone they interviewed. And if they were to do that, it would be a 1,000,000-man march of citizens down there at the damn jails, at the prison, saying you got to let R. Kelly go, because all of those people told outright lies. Now, when I say lies, I mean inconsistencies, lies. And what's so crazy about it, people? Let me say this before we go, brother. These people made millions of dollars. Let me be more clear. These white folks made hundreds of millions of dollars off of that docuseries worldwide. Guess how much they paid the participants?
How much? I want to know this.
$5,000. Some got a little more that had licensable stuff like pictures, but all they got was $5,000. If you notice, his ex-wife was not a part of the second one because she pulled out because she saw that they were using them, allegedly. She said that when a gun threat was called in, that the executives at Lifetime and all those white folks got up and left them there to die. They didn't
Damn.
So when she saw that they were being used, and they were being used, she said, I'm not going to be a part of the second. You understand? But just remember that, people, all them people got for sitting there telling them lies on R. Kelly was $5,000. And these people that made hundreds and millions of dollars off of a docuseries that was nothing but a reality show, brother. And I thank you so much, Brother Storm, for
Absolutely.
for allowing this light to shine through your channel. You are a special brother, because when you look, a lot of people who are attempting to climb this ladder of success, they're afraid. They're afraid to speak. So my cousin said you'll hear from him very, very soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for coming on, and thank you for coming with the facts and the laws and taking the time to even do that. And before we go, let the people know where they can follow you and find you.
Simple. I don't have my Instagram and all that set up yet, but you can just come to YouTube and punch in Levi for Kelly, and you will see my channel, which is dedicated to Robert Kelly, a man that I love, a man that I know to be innocent. So it's simple. YouTube, Levi for Kelly. Check me out, and I'm going to continue to explore and to reveal more and more information on my channel. And I'm quite sure Storm, when my cousin comes on here, he's going to bring you guys up to speed. But this is the key. We must, what we talked about today, when you're at the water cooler, when you're at your job, when you're talking to people who say R. Kelly's guilty, you have to know the facts. You have to know the truth, so you can say to them, well, he may be guilty, but I did not know this. I did not know that one of the parents was text messaging him. I didn't know they stole his communication,
Yeah.
So thank you, brother.
It's a Storm Show. Ay, it's a Storm Show.